Here.
Senator Moss. Senator Pearson. Senator Vincent.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one bill to hear today, and it's going to take a long time. It's House Bill 161 by Representative Milburn. The way we'll run this is everybody is not going to get a chance to talk when you have a hearing like this, not even close. We'd like everybody to make sure they've signed in so we have their name on record. Each side, proponents and opponents, will have an hour and a half. And when the hour and a half is up, that's the end, whether there's still people waiting to talk or not, because we have to get this in this morning. So I guess what I would suggest is that the proponents have their first 3 or so, however many people they want to really make a major presentation, go first. And at the end of about a half hour to 40 minutes, then we're going to have to start timing folks a couple of minutes each, and we'll let as many people talk as possible. Anybody that takes less than 2 minutes, we appreciate it very much. When you get lined up to come to the microphone, please don't pile up in front of the door back there. Come up where Representative Knox is and leave the door open. So with that, appreciate it. We won't have any demonstrations, applause, waving of placards, anything like that. That just wastes time and shows disrespect for the other people. So we want to have an orderly hearing and treat everybody as fairly as possible. Representative Milburn, you may open on your bill.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I bring to you House Bill 161. And as you know, that is the repeal of our medical marijuana initiative. Now, Montana has always had a great western frontier aura. The legalization of medical marijuana is changing the culture and the image of our state. It's the addictions, the crime, the legal nightmares, the problems we're causing our neighboring states. But most disturbing is what it's doing to our children. It was last school year I began to get calls to attend meetings where I realized how bad the situation was. It was from communities and treatment centers and schools complaining about dropout rates, students' apathy towards school and life in general, and children attending school high on drugs. There were letters from mothers and fathers worried that this new business was making drugs too familiar and acceptable. They feared for their kids' future. There are complaints about growers destroying neighborhoods, reducing the values of homes, and kids not being able to play in their own yards. It's the customers of dispensaries, near schools and near homes, their language, their harassment, and the stench. Those are the kind of comments that I was hearing, and I decided to go ahead with this initiative. We all remember the words from Apollo 13, Houston, we have a problem. Well, Houston, we have a problem. And Houston hurt us. We made the Houston News, the Washington Times, the New York Times, Forbes, USA Today, Dallas-Fort Worth News, San Antonio Express, the Denver Post, the California Press Enterprise, and that's just to name a few of the newspapers that we've hit. Are they talking about our big, beautiful, big sky country? No. One of the headlines read, the big high country. Well, members of the committee, we're not talking about medical marijuana anymore. We're talking about a totally uncontrolled epidemic of a huge commercial export drug trade industry. In Montana, we have at least 5,000 growing operations, at least 28,000 medical marijuana card holders. That's up 272% from a year ago. This is not a gradual increase, it's an explosion. It's taken off at the speed of Mach 2. I think back there somewhere there's a chart that just shows the growth of the medical marijuana industry. I would say the marijuana industry. That one right there. And that's not a year, that's a month growth. You can just hold it up for a little bit if you want there. You want to just hold up that where people can see it for a second. We're talking months right there, not years. It continues to increase. The cardholders continue to increase at a rate of about 1,000 a month. It's starting to undermine the very fabric of our state It's destroying our culture and our image, and we're becoming a detriment to our neighboring states. It's causing the ruination of too large of a percentage of our youth. Recently, South Dakota Assistant Director to the State Division of Criminal Investigation headed a successful statewide effort to block organization of medical marijuana. They rallied the sensitivity and sensibility of their voters by using Montana as a bad example. In every newspaper, TV, and radio ad, they said, "Do you want to be like Montana? Or do you want the mess that Montana is in?" Well, it was resoundingly defeated. This is obviously not about those very few chronic or terminally ill patients that people thought they were voting for. This is about a recreational drug use and an organized, highly profitable drug trade. The initiative was funded by out-of-state dollars, not grassroots Montana, which also refutes the will of the Montanans' argument. $500,000, or 99.9% of the funding used to promote Initiative 148 to Montana voters came from the Montana Policy Project of Washington, D.C. A few billionaires, including George Soros, not broad grassroots support, started the sustained and medical marijuana and marijuana legalization movements in the United States, including Montana. The initiative stated the limited use of marijuana under medical supervision by patients with debilitating medical conditions to alleviate the symptoms of their conditions. It tugged on voters' heartstrings, but it fails on most all accounts. The use is not limited. Patients are not medically supervised. Most patients do not have debilitating medical conditions, and the symptoms are not masked, or I should say they are masked, they're not alleviated. The debilitating medical condition for 2/3 of the card holders was chronic pain, including headaches, sore muscles, and menstrual cramps, conditions that can be alleviated with aspirin. The majority of the card holders are in the 20 to 30-year-old range. Do you want to throw that one up or just hold it up? Also, you can see where the majority of the users are. You can see that 20 to 30 is the highest use. The next one are the 50 to 60-year-olds, the old 70s, 60s culture. And thank you. And this isn't that Montana does not care about the chronically ill or terminally ill patients. We want them treated and cared for in a safe and regulated manner. America leads the world in medical research and development. We have the best medicine and availability in the world. Dr. Donald Kurth, and I did pass out earlier to you a pamphlet that had, I believe, a letter from Dr. Kurth. He's a medical professor. He's the president-elect of the American Society of Addiction Medicine. He's been in contact with me, concerned about this problem here in Montana. He is a former Montanan, huge credentials, but he's also a drug user, and he was a drug addict at one time in his life. He said that marijuana is an addictive drug that over time has profound impact on the brain and the body. He said that marijuana does have some benefits, particularly in dealing with chronic pain, but the side effects are so damaging that it should not be used until its beneficial properties can be distilled into medications that don't have those side effects. He said it's no longer medically necessary. In every single case, there are other drugs that are much more effective. The United States Drug Enforcement Administration takes a firm stand. Smoked marijuana is not medicine and is not safe. The FDA has not approved smoked marijuana for any conditions or disease, noting that there is currently sound evidence that smoked marijuana is harmful and that no sound scientific studies supported medical marijuana for treatment in the United States. The bottom line, medical marijuana does not meet the standards of modern medicine for quality, safety. It is illegal for physicians to prescribe marijuana and for a pharmacy to dispense it. It is a Schedule I controlled substance under federal law. In 2001, the DEA was challenged to change marijuana from a Schedule I substance to something lesser so that it could be regulated and distributed. The DEA and the Department of Health and Human Services engaged in a rigorous testing and found marijuana to be highly addictive with no medical value and refused to delist it. The U.S. Supreme Court, therefore the highest authority, upheld the illegal nature of marijuana even though states have legalized it for medical purposes. Recent studies show the following destructive effects of using marijuana: birth defects, worsening of pain, lung damage, it causes cancer, brain damage, strokes, immune system damage, mental illness, violence, infertility, and it's addictive and a gateway to other drugs. Is smoked marijuana an alternative medicine for debilitating disease? The following voices in the medical community do not accept smoked marijuana as medicine. and that is the American Medical Association, the American Cancer Society, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Glaucoma Society, and the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. They not only say no, they say definitely not. The only drug currently approved by the FDA that contains a synthetic form of Marinol, THC is Marinol. There's mounting evidence that the use of marijuana, particularly by adolescents, because their brains are not fully developed, can lead to serious mental health illness such as schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, and even suicide. Just to show you how big of an industry it is in Montana, all you have to do is read the papers. Like I said, national and international attention. But an article came out in the New York Times on Bozeman, and it's talking about the economic ripples or the entanglements extend in every direction. Business people like the so-and-sos say gardening supply companies where marijuana growers are buying equipment, mainstream bakeries that are contracting for pot-laced pastries, and even the state's biggest utility, Northwestern Energy, which is seeing a huge surge in electricity use by the new factories. Thank you. Medical marijuana, measured by numbers of patients, has roughly quadrupled in Montana in the last year. It's new territory we're treading here, said a sales associate in Independent Power Systems, a Bozeman company that completed its first solar installation. There's a 40,000 rooftop solar array system. They're saying that marijuana entrepreneurs facing big tax bills were responding to appeal of a 30% tax credit offered by the state for expansion of renewable energy. $25,000 a month. One new grower and medical marijuana provider said of his outlay for electricity alone. $25,000 a month, and we're talking about medical marijuana. He now employs, one person employs 33 people. We're not talking medical marijuana anymore. We're talking about not just a Montana industry, we're talking about an export industry. Caregivers are responsible for dispensing and dosing medical marijuana. To be a caregiver, you must only be 18 years of old and not have a felony record. Multiple dispensaries have set up their businesses not near hospitals and clinics, targeting the sick and the terminal patients, but outside of our high schools and junior highs, targeting our healthy youth. One source reported there are 8 such establishments around a Billings High School. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration National Survey, Montana has the 4th highest rate of youth addiction in the country and is in the top 6 for teen use. Another survey shows us in the second in the United States for teen use. What price are we willing to pay to defend this voter initiative? I think that's a question that we have to ask. I've heard the cries for help, and that's what I'm responding to. Medical doctors, law enforcement and narcotics officers, school administrators, addiction counselors, the workforce, parents and citizens, they're all here to tell you firsthand of their challenges. I also gave you a letter from a girl here in Helena, a schoolgirl in Helena. I'll read you just part of her letter. She says, "My friends do not care about anything anymore. They don't care about their grades, their friends, their families, or themselves. All they care about is how cool marijuana is and how stupid the people against marijuana are." She says, "What about my rights to be in a safe, drug-free school? My rights to have friends who aren't high all the time. My rights to be a healthy teenager. My right not to be surrounded by pot everywhere I go. Who is there to defend those?" The Rimrock Foundation, the Board of the Staff Foundation urge a vote to repeal medical marijuana. The Billings Area Community Policy wrote, "Complete repeal of this referendum should be our first and foremost consideration." A human resource director of one of our largest corporations here in Montana wrote a letter to me saying the same thing. It says that the employees who test positive for marijuana, including medical marijuana, has an adverse impact on employee performance. Drugs are 5 times more likely than other workers to injure themselves. People that use drugs are 5 times more likely to injure themselves under the influence of marijuana. It causes 40% of all industry fatalities. And it goes on. So is it just international attention we're getting? International attention, or it's global? I got a call the other day from a director a board director of the World Federation Against Drugs from Stockholm, Sweden, asking me what was going on here in Montana, the problems that we're seeing and the importance of this repeal. And he said that if any politician ran on supporting medical marijuana in Sweden, it'd be a political suicide. He said their action plan, their government action plan, is a drug-free society. A couple days ago, I received a call from New York. David Evans, a delegate for the United Nations Commission on Narcotics Drug. And he said, the whole world is watching Montana. He said, I'm not kidding. He said, the whole world. And he's leaving Sunday for Vienna, Austria, to set world drug policy. He said this marijuana legalization push is a worldwide problem, and they're all talking about Montana. He said if Montana repeals, it will send positive shockwaves around the world and blaze the trail for others to follow. So this is our state, and we need to take it back. Thank you. I'd also like to introduce and appreciate Dr. Roberts, Representative Dr. Roberts, and Representative Howard, who are also co-sponsors that are here also to testify. Thank you.